Hey guys, Rob from Knight Solutions Canada. Now we just got our shipment in of our gear skins for our OP14 housing, so I figured I'd sit down, do a quick paint by numbers tutorial for you, show you where all the pieces go on an OP14 housing. So I'll wrap this naked OP14 housing for you here so you can follow along. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, so we've got all the pieces laid out of the gear skins for the OP14. I'll take a quick second to sort of lay these out around this OP14 just so you kind of get a general balance feel of where things go on which side and things like that. Now, don't worry, I will cover this in detail. This is just to sort of help set the mood, give you a visual here. So 1 second and I'll rejig all this. All right, here's the general layout of the pieces that are gonna go on this OP14 housing, okay? So the ones in the center row here are generally the ones that go around the housing. These ones towards you on the other end of the camera here are the ones that go on the back of the housing, and the other pieces here closest to me are the ones that go on the front of the housing. Now I will go through each of these in detail and show you exactly where they go on, and I will have some specific pro tips about an order of which you put these pieces on just to make your life simpler. Some of these pieces are a little bit more complicated than the bigger pieces, and the reason for that is we designed these gear wraps to not cross join lines in the housing, meaning if you have to get your OP14 serviced for any reason, the gear wrap doesn't cross those lines. So when you take apart the housing, you don't have to destroy your wrap just to have some maintenance done. But like I said, that does make a couple of these pieces a little bit more complicated and finicky to put on. So the pro tip here is that there's going to be a certain order. So let's jump to the paint by numbers real quick here, and I'll start with one of those complicated pieces because I think it should go on first. Let's clear some space just so you don't have any distractions. So we've got the naked OP14 here, and we're gonna start with this little piece here, okay? And where it goes is that this little arm is gonna go underneath your battery cap, and this little circle goes right behind this purge screw here. The reason why I'm saying you should put this one on first is if you go ahead and put on this big easy one around the eyepiece, it adds just enough thickness that when you're trying to install this piece right here and get it underneath the battery cap, it's just enough space taken up in that gap that it makes it a little difficult to get that little tiny arm underneath there. So let's stick this one on first and I'll show you what I mean. All right, there you go. As you can see, the circle goes around the purge screw, and then on this other side here, that little thin arm goes underneath your battery cap and just attaches down on the other side of the housing here. But as I mentioned, this gap here is quite tiny, and if you put the other gear wrap on first, the long one that goes around your eyepiece, it's just enough space taken up that it's even harder to get this little arm through that gap. What I'd recommend is, I've got some practice doing this so I don't use them as much anymore, but don't be afraid to maybe grab a pair of tweezers to help you with that one. So with that more complicated piece already put down on the back of the housing around the battery cap there, we can now jump to putting on an easier section, which is this eyepiece one. So let's get that done too. So there you go, all attached around the eyepiece, easy peasy. We might as well take care of these little teardrop pieces because they go towards the back of the housing as well. And I'll show you exactly where. You'll notice that there's a little gap here at the bottom section of the back of the housing, so on the pod side of it, and they go underneath that complicated piece and around the eye cup here, right there, and the other one on the other side right in there. So let's stick those on real quick. All right, there you go. One on the left side there and one on the right side as well. And again, just to point it out, there's a little gap between that complicated piece we worked with first and those two teardrop pieces. Why? Because there is a join line in the housing that runs between those. With the back end of the OP14 taken care of, let's sort of do the middle, the part that goes around. These are going to be your most geometrically balanced pieces, so not oblong. So they're going to be the ones here and the ones here. Let's handle, I guess, the biggest pieces first, and we'll sequentially work our way to smaller sizes here. So that's gonna be this long rectangular piece with sort of two wings, okay? And where these go are gonna be on the bulk side of the pod, Okay, so they're going to wrap all the way around the bottom of the pod there, and those cutouts are for where you've got the lanyard sort of attachment points on the housing. Okay, so let's get that on there as well. There you go, all attached. All right, so for the next piece, is this another rectangular section with like a little ear cutout here. That's going to go on the right side of the housing if you're looking proper way through the device, and it goes right up here above where the pod meets the circuit board bridge. So let's stick that one on there too. There you have it. Now let's take care of the equivalent piece on the other side over here, and that's actually going to be this one here. Reason for the little feet here, it's actually because it goes this way, and you'll notice at the very top of the housing there's a little divot right underneath sort of the mount, and that's actually what these little feet go around. It's just to keep that space open and clear. Okay, so let's stick this one on this side, and there you go. What you'll start to notice is that leaves two blank bands where the pods meet the bridge, and that's actually what these small rectangular pieces are for. Now, something to note here is these two rectangular pieces, they're actually technically two different sizes, so you'll have to check which one is which. So just mate them up before you actually adhere them down, but don't be afraid if you put the wrong one in the wrong spot. These aren't like super glued down. It's 3M adhesive, so you can actually peel them back up and reset them if you need to. Just sort of plan it out. This one, too small for that size, so it's actually this one that goes in this particular space, and this slightly larger one will go on the other side. So let's just put both of those down, and I'll return to you once they're on. All right, there you go. There's those spaces all covered up. So that covers the middle section of the housing. So all we have left is the face of it, as well as the piece that goes around your objective lens. So let's cover that. Let's start with one of the easier ones first. This piece is going to wrap around your objective lens cup of the housing. So these little cutouts here are going to correspond to these little notches around that section of the housing. So let's just stick this one on real quick. There you go, all wrapped all the way around. Again, those cutouts are for these notches. So we only have 3 pieces left, okay? So let me just sort of talk you through where these go. They should be kind of obvious at this point in time, looking at the available space we have. First and foremost, this little elbow macaroni little piece there is going to go around this section of the housing here. It's just next to the IR illuminator, and it just quite easily is going to sit right there on the housing. So let me just stick that on real quick. There you go. Like I said, super simple. Next one is going to be this piece, and it's going to be the piece that actually goes around the objective lens mold part of the housing right up here on the face. Let's stick this one on real quick. So there you have it, right there, all covered up. And that leaves one final piece, this little horseshoe piece. Looking at the retail space that we've got available here, there's really only one place it can go, or should go here on the front. You'll notice it goes around your power button and manual gain knob, and it also goes around the IR illuminator here to cover up that last piece of the front end. So let me stick that on for you. There you have it. So again, it goes around the power and manual gain knob, it goes around the IR illuminator, and again, you do see the gap between these two pieces because there's a mold line that goes right between them. So if we were to detach these, your wrap stays intact. So you have it all fully wrapped, looks beautiful. Again, if you ever wanted to change these out, it is 3M adhesive. So this isn't like permanent. It will stick for as long as you need it, and then should you need to get rid of it, you can peel these off. Just as a heads up, some of that adhesive will get stuck to plastic parts pretty well on these housings, but don't worry, it hasn't ruined your housing. All you need to do is rub it and it'll ball up and come right off the housing, making your housing clear and good to put on a new wrap of a new color. And that's actually what I did with this housing here. It had a different wrap on this, and I just took off all the wrap, took off the adhesive, and then applied this new one here for you guys today. So that's about it. It's as difficult as it is. It took me about 15 minutes to do this here for you today. Allows you to sort of give some style and camouflage options to your night vision devices without doing something permanent like a Cerakote or a rattle can or whatnot, right? So it allows you to safely change the profile and colorway of your nods while allowing it to be semi-permanent, and allows you to change it into the future without damaging the housing or your device. So guys, there you have it. That pretty much covers our gear skins for our OP14. Hopefully this has made things a little bit clearer on where to put things down when you're wrapping the OP14. Hopefully some of the pro tips kind of helped out. Now, if you do still have any comments or questions, obviously leave me a comment in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But other than that, thank you so much for spending a couple minutes with me here, guys. Until next time, have a great day. Cheers.